And Nigeria has been re-elected into the African Union Peace and Security Council for another 3 years mandate to represent the West African region from 2022 to 2025. Well, Nigeria pulled 44 votes in the first round to secure the statutory 2/3 votes required to win the election. Victor Adeleke, the Nigerian ambassador to Ethiopia and permanent representatives to the African Union, represents Nigeria at the council. The election of the 15-member council was held on the 3rd of February 2022 during the 40th ordinary session of the Executive Council of the African Union in Addis Ababa. Also elected for a 3-year mandate alongside Nigeria was Cameroon, Djibouti, Morocco and Namibia. Elected for 2-year mandates were Burundi, Congo, Uganda, Tanzania, Tunisia, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Ghana, Senegal and the Gambia. Well, Nigeria is the only country that has sustained the membership of the council since its inception of the organ in 2004. Well, to discuss the fallout of the summit, we're now being joined by global affairs analyst Paul Ejime. Paul, thank you so much for being here tonight in the studio. And of course, looking at the AU meeting that we've just seen happening in Addis Ababa. Well, the question that everyone is asking is this AU's liturgy towards, taking decisive action. I ask this especially in the light of the coups that we have seen in the last 18 months, 6 of them. All we hear is condemnation, but yet not a lot of strong action coming from this union. So in your opinion, what more should the AU be doing really to actually stop this encroachment that we're seeing of the military on the continent?
Thank you, Amaka. As the foremost political organ on the continent, I think AU, which is successor organization of the Organization of African Unity, should be doing more. But that same liturgy you called it, or lack of leadership, has forced it not to, is responsible for much of what we have. Because now, okay, say it begins from the national level, regional, and then it becomes a bug that has now also beaten, the continental organization. But there are instruments to be used to get, one is imagining, trying to say, if this were the leadership we had when Africa was still under colonial rule, I mean, perhaps by now, many African countries will still be under that. Okay, again, they are still there because there is the umbilical cord that they are still holding. It's like somebody gives you an animal and then they are holding to the rope. Flag independence as it is. Some of them are not economically independent and all that. But here, what is there is that you talked about condemnation, suspensions. These are not effective. I think they should do more, engage, try to use early warning system and use what you call preventive diplomacy. You don't wait until, the horse has bolted out of the stable and then you start chasing. You can't get the horse, it's already gone. So when you now, and what are those things that they should be doing before the coups? You have constitutional coups, political coups, electoral coups happening. It's only when the military takes over then everybody starts shouting. But mark you, AU has the charter on democracy, election, and good governance, which is, has provisions there against constitutional coup. People taking power from, or actions that are undemocratic.
And we see that happening a lot.
But now you would expect that AU should come to their summit and be able to talk about that, talk to the leaders. But they are not in a position to do that because they are all complicit. And that is the problem.
Why you even talk about complacency now? Because if you look at the fact that we have seen 6 coups in the last 18 months, but only 4 of those countries have actually been suspended. I do know that Chad, where the chairperson of the AU is from, is not suspended. And, there's a lot of questions that has raised. I'm thinking, okay, is it because of, the relationship that he has with France? Is that the reason why we're seeing one rule apply to a certain group of people and doesn't apply to others? Your thoughts on that?
Yes. It is the Malay, the disease that is attacking the AU is multifaceted. One of them is inconsistency, like you noted. So in Chad, Idris Deby died or was killed, and all you have was his son, Muhammad, taking over. And the French president was, Macron was the only world leader that attended the inauguration of Deby's son. So, and you wonder, you were saying it, where is the suspension? Where is the condemnation? But here again, but instead, you have a country like Mali. That is not to justify military rule.
Absolutely.
But you have to be consistent. You have to be fair. You have to show good faith. You have to, President Buhari talks about justice and fairness. When people do not see this at the national level and regional and continental level, what you have is this violence all over the place. So it is that lack of leadership that is responsible for much is what is happening.
And the lack of leadership is another issue. Looking at this AU summit currently happening now in Addis Ababa, the fact that, you know, the leader of the AU again, talking about Fatma, he actually accepted Israel and accredited them for that observatory status. You know, we've seen a lot of opposition, even from Nigeria, South Africa, and other nations. I want to know really how this affects, you know, the AU as an institution, especially knowing the stance of the AU when it concerns the issue in the Middle East and Palestine-Israeli relationship.
That is one distraction that this organization will ill afford. Because there is so much that you can do. There is insecurity. We talked about coups. There is COVID.
Well, and that's actually taking a lot of the attention
and
now.
Here you can have somebody admitting Israel. I mean, of what benefit? If it is not for private or national and, you know, limited benefit, of what benefit is it to the whole organization where already you know the position of Palestine? Palestine from time immemorial has been there. And you are now saying AU Charter has about what it calls self-determination. You know, and then you have the Sahara issue that also Morocco and Algeria are fighting. And there you have not finished all this. You are now admitting the procedure. Many countries that are opposing that are saying that even though he has the powers under the court, but he didn't, there was no consultation. And why do you need to engage in that? It is a distraction that is not necessary. Okay. Instead of that, I think they should look at insecurity, look at the fact that democracy is being eroded, look at the fact that 1.3 billion people in Africa are suffering. On COVID, only 11% of the population have been vaccinated. Nobody is talking about that. Bringing manufacturing or getting that vaccine. Nobody is talking about that. And then economy. Africa is the worst of all the blocks or regions. Okay. And I thought that should be the preoccupation instead of going to dabble into bring a controversial dispute over having Israel or not having Israel.
Well, at the end of the day, it's a good thing now that Moderna has now set up a plant in South Africa, just like Johnson & Johnson, although it's only one country on the continent that now will be manufacturing the vaccines, but at least it's one better than coming from abroad. Paul Ejime, I'd have to say thank you and congratulations for Nigerians being, again, elected into that whole, Internal Security Council as the chair. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Amaka.